Kids, I just wanted to come on quickly to summarize last week's message, just in case you weren't able to join us for our Zoom chat. So we talked about how Jesus did the miracle of the bread, the loaves, and the fish. So let me grab you what else we did. We discussed how what's great about the Bible, if it's not a story like Frozen 2 or The Lion King, that these things actually happened in real life and that we have the Bible as proof of all of these things. But not only that, but we also have historical items that were found over many, many years that have survived, that are also just key facts of why this is real. So I went and grabbed something to show you our craft that we did, but I also wanted to go grab something else because last year in September, by the Sea of Galilee, there was a mosaic that was found by some archaeologists. And we talked about what an archaeologist was. And it's somebody who, I guess the short answer is they kind of dig around in the dirt to find different historical things or artifacts. And so last year in September, what was found was a mosaic. And a mosaic is a picture that is made up of tiny little tiles, kind of like little tiny bathroom tiles, or I'm sure you've seen mosaics. You probably just don't know exactly what I'm talking about. But last year near the Sea of Galilee, this mosaic was found. Let me show you the archaeologists first. So these are our archaeologist friends, and they're digging to try to find those historical artifacts. And so they found through all of this area this big building. If you can tell, this is a building. And these little dots right here, these little pillars, those little pillars right there, those are what held up the building. They were the support system. If you have a basement, you probably have poles in your basement, and that holds kind of the top half of your house up. So that's what those are. Those are little pillars that used to support a roof, but the roof is no longer there. But what they found at the bottom of that, there's a picture, but they found this, which is our bread loaves and fish. Crazy! So this is another historical thing that was found to prove that the stories of the Bible have been passed on from generation to generation. And then we talked about how this story of Jesus was written in the book of Matthew, in the book of Mark, in the book of Luke, and the book of John. 4 different writers talked about this miracle that Jesus did. So that is another way that we can prove that it is absolutely true. And just finding these historical artifacts, these mosaics, you can see it really closely. They're little tiny tiles that make this pretty picture. This is a fish. So now they're wondering if maybe this is the location where the miracle was done. So we talked about how God is a miracle worker and that he can do anything, how he took these 5 loaves of bread, and he just kept handing them to the disciples until they gave them to everyone. And in the Bible, it says that it fed 5,000 men plus women and children. So we're led to believe that there were more than 5,000 people there. And these 5 loaves of bread, that's it, 5 loaves of bread, Jesus just kept passing out, right? Because these people were hungry. They had followed him all day, and they were listening to his teaching, and one of the disciples was like, well, we should probably break and stop teaching right now, Jesus. You probably should send them to the markets because it's kind of a long journey and they came from a while and they're hungry. And Jesus looked at him and it was like one of the disciples and said, we should feed them. And then he said, we would have to work for months to be able to afford to feed all of these people, because Jesus knew he was going to say that. And he was like, I'm going to show him another one of my signs, that I am Jesus Christ, the Son of God, right? He was sent from God to earth to save our lives. And so he kept breaking up that the bread, and then when they were all done, he had them do the same thing with the fish, just kept passing it out and passing it out. And at the end, he told the disciples, please go and collect all the leftovers. And if there were 5,000 people there and only 5 loaves and 2 fishes, do you think that there'd be leftovers? Well, not only did everyone eat until they were full, completely full, as if you were like at a buffet. You know, when you go to a buffet, you don't really usually eat just one little thing. You eat a lot, and then by the end, you're like, oh, I ate so much, right? Well, that's kind of what happened. Everyone ate until they had their full. They're full and done and ready. No more needed. And the disciples still picked up 12 baskets full of leftovers. So our God is awesome. So awesome. And so that's just another proof. This week, this next Sunday, what we're going to be doing is it's Worship Sunday, the first Sunday of every month. We learn a new worship song and we sing it together. And then we're also going to talk about what Palm Sunday is. What does that even mean to have Palm Sunday, and why did people throw down palm branches as Jesus was entering? Why did they do that? So last week, this was the craft that your parents got in your email. If you didn't get this in your email and you would like it, it looks like this. And then the instructions were to just cut out some cereal box squares. You could paint them. This part of the cereal box I just colored with colored pencil and just colored it brown. This part we actually used 3x5 cards and painted it gray, and then just cut out little squares to make it like our mosaic. But in the email you would get this, and you would just print it out and you would make your own mosaic just like the archaeologists found near the Sea of Galilee. So that was this week's craft. And we also talked about our memory verse that we're working on, which is Philippians 4:6. Do not worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. All right, so tomorrow I look forward to seeing you for Palm Sunday, doing our little lesson and also sharing in some time of worship. All right, Vineyard kids, if I missed you last week, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. All right, see ya.